This is Mannheim Steamroller's kind of interesting version of Do You Hear What I Hear? It's December 1st. It's the Christmas season, meteorological winter, whatever you want to call it. And it also is at the Lang House carpet cleaning day, because you can probably hear in the background, Miss Dawn is cleaning our carpets. We're going to be doing Christmas decorating tomorrow, so she wants to make sure that the carpets are all nice and clean for the holiday season. So I'm doing my show with the background noise of carpet cleaning. So hopefully you all can hear me out there. Scott and Pat, how you guys doing today? And anybody else out there watching, what's going on? It's been an interesting day today. Much like last week, I'm going to do an episode of the Comic Haul right afterwards. So I got my bag right here. It's just been one of those weeks where Monday and Tuesday start off where I went back to work after our 4-day Thanksgiving vacation and found out both my boss and the production manager were both out, which meant I had to do the job work of 3 people for 2 days. So wonderful that. Then Friday, I lost one of my better employees. He gave his 2 weeks 2 weeks ago, and he left on Friday. So now we're up the creek without a paddle again. So it's been kind of a blah week, as it were, but it is December 1st. It is meteorological winter, and it is officially the Christmas season, 24 days until Christmas. So enjoy that. 11 days until my daughter Noelle's birthday, and also MJ Khan's birthday. So all that. So this is today's episode. Dylan knows cotton candy meth, which is going to be one of the stories that we'll be discussing this week. You probably already know what it is if you've been paying attention. If not, hey, you'll find out on this show. What else we got going this week? We've got how Harvard and Yale students believe we should combat climate change. Arizona man carrying a gun gets a big surprise. We have some sad deaths to report. Former president, a creator of a cartoon, and the oldest living survivor of Pearl Harbor all died this week. We'll talk a little bit about them, about that. Harassing sea life, not good. New Zealand stepped forward for the animals. Wouldn't be Dylan Knows without a robotic sex story or an animal sex story. And I have both, and some other stuff as well when it comes to that type of thing. Cancellations, the time lock container, a new candy which is going to blow my freaking mind, how to poop a Lego, how long it takes to poop a Lego, the giant cow that seems to be sweeping away social media, and the best headline of the year, probably, coming up soon. And finally, the return of one of the iconic items from our past with a new modern day twist. So hope that got you all salivating for what's coming on. And we've got some interesting stuff coming up. So why don't we start at the very top? For those who've been watching my show, obviously you two guys who always seem to watch my show, which I am eternally grateful for. You know that I do stories about these studies that people make, and the studies are always, you know, chocolate and wine are good for you. You can live a long time if you eat just that. You're not going to go crazy if your wife is cleaning the carpets upstairs. But here's a new one for you. Believe it or not, and I'm trying to think. I think I talked about this one on one of my other episodes, but it was just too good that I had to re-bring it up again. French fries are better for you than salad is. That's a study, scientific study, that if you eat French fries, it is more healthy for you than eating salad. Study. Yeah, I like these kind of things. I wish I had a study like that where I could say crazy stuff like that. You know what? Drinking one of these a day makes you live to be 1,000,000 years old. There you go. There's a study. I did a study. I fed it to some people, and they lived to be 1,000,000 years old. Anyway, there's that story. That was the first one I did this week, actually. Here's a good one. I teased this at the beginning. I may as well do it at the beginning. Harvard and Yale. You all know about Harvard and Yale. They're the Ivy League creme de la creme, big schools. If you say, oh, I'm from Harvard or Yale, you are very smart. Thought of Tana Romaine lately, I'm not really surprised. Okay, that's true, Scott. Absolutely. But the Harvard and the Yaleys have put their heads together, and they've decided that they figured out what we can do about climate control. Their idea is, in order to change climate change, we need to figure out a way to dim the sun. Dim the sun to stop climate change. I'm sorry, dim the sun? Not dim sum, the Chinese soup. Dim the sun? Are you out of your freaking minds? You might go to Harvard and Yale, but are you out of your freaking minds? Dimming the sun. Come on, man. That's ridiculous. Or is it? Studies show that it might actually work. Heck with studies. I've already talked about, French fries are better for you than salad. There you go. Jan replied, there was no lettuce in our Walmart today. So, interesting. Here's another. I didn't even realize that. I just write stuff up here, and it's like, wow, I don't really have it in any order. Here's another study. Alcohol is not safe. Even an occasional drink is a hindrance to health. I can see that. Yes, I can actually see that in some cases. I don't think a little drink would hurt, but I do understand there are people out there who have had problems with alcohol before, and also it can impair judgment and make you sick and even kill you if necessary, if overdone. But I think just an occasional drink, I don't think is going to. An occasional drink is not safe. I don't know if I believe that study either. I mean, you might be able to look at it from some different perspectives, but if you just say you're at home watching TV or something and you drink a glass of wine, that's bad for your health. Yeah, maybe it is. That study might have some merit to it. I don't know, but at that point, it just seems like a weird thing just to come out and say. Something that is harmful to you, a Boca Juniors player, soccer, I guess, was hospitalized. What the hell? Because he was attacked by fans. I think what happened was, I think a player got attacked. I can't read my writing. This is one of the early ones I did from last week. A Boca Juniors player hospitalized, Copa Libertadores, full delayed. Oh, the player was hospitalized and the game was delayed because they were attacked by fans. Players were attacked by fans. I think that's what I was saying. You know what? That's what that was, I guess. I'll just move on from there. Speaking of Walmart, Jan just said that she could not find any lettuce in her Walmart today. Well, in Arizona, man carrying a gun in his waistband shot himself in the, I guess the proper technical term is groin, in the Walmart meat department. So I guess he's walking around open carry with his gun, right down there, just walking along, and then all of a sudden something happens and bam, he blows away his junk. I'm not anti-gun, but come on, man, you got to be a little smarter than that. Don't stick things like that down your pants. Get one of those holster things, or better yet, don't bring it to a Walmart. Just saying. Maybe you should bring your gun to Walmart after this happened. I don't think it was at a Walmart, but it was somewhere else. A woman who's waiting in line, I guess, to check out or whatever, she passed gas. We all pass gas. It's a normal human function. Everybody does it. But then she pulls a knife on the guy behind her who complained about the fart. Now, look, I don't like being farted on. I don't think anybody likes being farted on. And sometimes, you're walking along and you get that disgusting smell in your nose, and you're like, oh my God, someone had a bad, has a bad case of something. And I understand it and I get it. But everybody farts, just like, there's that book, Everybody Poops, Everybody Farts. And, sometimes, it's going to be a little stinky, and, just keep the complaints to yourself, man. You never know what kind of psychopaths are out there with knives threatening to kill you when you complain about their farting. So, more class here on Dylan Knows. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe. No, that's a different Christmas song. No, everybody knows, who watches this show anyway. Was it her? Let's see what this picture Scott's given us. Yes, open it. I want to see what this picture is. Scott just posted me. It's a gif of a woman walking around going, I farted there, I farted there. Whoops, I farted there. No, Scott, it wasn't. But hey, thanks for that. That's hilarious. That was awesome. Anybody who's watched this show before, who knows me in any form or another, knows that I have a infatuation, as it were, with one Miss Sarah Michelle Gellar. It particularly vexes Jerry for some reason whenever I bring her up. She always rolls her eyes when I talk about her. Everybody farts. Yes, breaking news. That's right. But the thing that drew Sarah Michelle Gellar's attention to the entire world, for the most part, is a little TV show by name of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think most of you know this show. You might even like it a little bit. Well, guess what? I have a big surprise for you. I just found this out today. Every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is free on Facebook now. Oh yeah, it is. I really can't show you because I might get some copyright infringement, but you just go, if you go to your Facebook page, if you're on Facebook, you go to your Facebook page, there's a video icon. I'm just going to show you real quick. Boop, video icon. And you can press a button. Yep, and there's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series. Boom, that's all I'm going to show you. And so they were showing, is it the episode I was watching earlier? I think so. Yes, it is. So every episode is available to watch for free on Facebook, if you have Facebook, obviously. As I said, just go to the video thing, type in to the search for Buffy the Vampire Slayer to pop up almost immediately, and you can watch the first episode. It looks like it's a nice looking copy of it. So it looks like it's been clearly cleaned up, and it doesn't look grainy and stuff like that. And yes, they do actually. It's funny. I was watching, my favorite episodes of Buffy of all time is Amends, which is the Christmas episode from the 3rd season. So I figured I want to check a little bit out, check that one out today, and when watching the free Buffy things on Facebook. So I clicked on it, and they do the previously on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and they show all the scenes from the previous episode, and then they had the opening little sequence, and then they did the credits. And then there was a commercial. It was 10 seconds. It was a internet commercial, but it was 10 seconds, and it had commercials. So and then it just went right into the episode. So if you're interested in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or if you've never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer and you have a Facebook, now's the time to watch every episode for free on Facebook. So more Sarah Michelle Gellar for everybody. And hell, if you want to get into it, more Allison Hannigan, more David Boreanaz, more Anthony Stewart Head, more James Marsters, more Juliet Landau, more Elijah Dushku. Who else is more Christine Sutherland? Who else do we got? That's a big one. More Robia Lamort. And so on and so forth. So you got more Seth Green. So you got all kinds of wonderful, awesome stuff. Awesome sauce. The president says companies can now incredibly harass marine mammals. There's a new thing that he signed that they can start drilling out in the ocean for something that's going to disrupt whales and dolphins swim patterns and life patterns. And that's just, I don't want to talk about that anymore. I just think it's a disgusting thing, and hopefully that'll get taken care of eventually. Speaking of the revenge of the earth, 7.2 earthquake hits Alaska. Anchorage, actually, Alaska. It was yesterday, I think. And 8:29 a.m. their time, which I think is about a 6-hour difference. So it was around roughly, I guess, 1:30, 2:30-ish. So our time, in the East Coast anyway. But I saw some pictures from there. Roads completely destroyed. And there was a tsunami warning that luckily got canceled after about an hour. So luckily there was no tsunami, but still, it's scary. It's been a while since I think Alaska had a major earthquake like that up their way. So they're still recovering from that today. I think I saw somewhere there's like 5 substations up there and only 2 are working. The other 3 are out. So they're trying to get those substations back up so people have power and heat and electricity and stuff. So thoughts and prayers, I guess, for Alaska. I guess this is considered irony. I'm not sure. Sometimes the definition of irony is a little hazy. A book that's anti-plastic, talking about how plastic can destroy the environment and hurt animals and get rid of natural what's the word I'm thinking of? Just stuff to bad things. Plastic is bad, as what they're saying. This book, all about how bad plastic is, was wrapped in plastic. I don't know where the disconnect was. Was it maybe? I doubt it was with the writer. I bet it was with the distributor. It's like, well, we can't really ship this book the way it is, the size and length that it is, in just regular book format. We need to sort of wrap it in plastic to keep it sealed. There you go. So interesting. Boom. One of my wife's favorite superheroes, and technically one of my favorite as well, from DC Universe, Zatanna, the magician, will be getting her own movie in the new DCU. It was just announced, so the earliest you probably see it was 2020 maybe, since there's been no script, no casting, no planning for it yet. They just announced that they are going to be doing one, and hopefully they will do it justice, because Zatanna is one of those really good characters. And if you want a really good version of Zatanna, one of the best versions was Paul Dini's version of her in Batman the Animated Series. One of my favorite stories that he created that added a new layer to Batman's history was, and it makes perfect sense, when he was out in his 10-year-long trek trying to learn everything he can, he had to learn how to be an escape artist, and who better to learn it from than the greatest magician of all time, Zatara, who just so happened to have a hot, beautiful daughter about the same age as Bruce, and the two of them struck up a little mini relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, and eventually he had to move on with his life and his mission, even though he might have had some feelings for her at some time, and he moved on. And then gradually, when he came back into power, she was now alone. Her dad had passed away, and I guess when she heard about Batman or whatever, she pretty much knew who he was immediately, and so sort of had this relationship in this one episode where they sort of get back together and work together to solve a crime. It was really, really well done. And then Paul Dini wrote about 20 some issues of her own solo comic, which was fantastic, and Dawn absolutely loved it. So let's hope that they do a really good version of her, and yay for that. It wouldn't be Christmas time without a new latte from Starbucks. This one is the Juniper Latte, which is supposed to taste like Christmas. It's your typical type of latte you always get, but it's got a little bit of juniper juice in it, which I guess juniper is that kind of evergreen sort of tree that's got like cherries and stuff on it, or berries of some kind. And, there's some sort of essence, I guess, that gives you this taste of Christmas, I guess, is the best description of it. I haven't tried it. From the people who have tried it, they said it's absolutely amazing. I don't know how much I would agree with that, but we'll see. But speaking of something that I would eat, everybody also knows, who watches this show, that I am a sucker for and absolutely love Reese's of any kind. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Reese's Pieces, Reese's anything, really. However, a couple years ago, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups decided they wanted to try something different. They were going to put Reese's Pieces inside of their regular Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. And actually, it was a lot better than you think it might be. It was actually really, really good, particularly if you get one of their bigger sized ones. The small ones are okay, but the bigger ones are better because you can bite into it and get more of the Reese's Pieces as well as the Reese's. Well, since Reese's is owned by Hershey, which is another reason why everybody needs to go see Hershey Park, because there is all kinds of Reese's stuff up there also, and a whole section of Reese's candies. Actually, see if I have a picture of that. Hopefully I didn't lose that when I changed over my phone. But now, because Hershey is the creator of it, they decided that they wanted to take things to the next level. And instead of just, actually, here's me and my love for Reese's. Hershey decided they wanted to try something different and do something new, and they decided they're going to take their regular Hershey bar, which is also in of itself a very delicious and delightful candy bar, and they've decided that they're going to start selling Hershey's. Well, they have the regular Hershey's out there, but they're going to start selling Hershey's with Reese's Pieces in it very soon. So you can actually bite now into a Hershey's chocolate and get the Reese's Pieces flavor. I guess it must have been one of the ones that got deleted off. In the end, I'll have to, when we go back there again next year, I'll have to get a picture taken there because this doesn't look like it's there. I told you the story when we got my new phone. I forgot to upload my pictures to the cloud or whatever, and it got them all deleted off here. So now I've lost thousands of pictures. I'm trying to get them back, but I found some of them. I might be able to find the one I'm talking about, but it's just me and the chocolate world section of Hershey Park, which is just literally, it's like their gift shop. You can get clothes and stuffed animals and toys and stuff like that, as well as any type of Hershey's candy you like. They've got cases of Hershey's bars and Reese's and anything else, Hershey's Kisses, stuff like that. So pretty cool. So that should be good. I am going to look forward to that. I will be looking for the best place to find these things first. They won't be at the grocery stores right away, so you want to check like your local gas station stores, like your Royal Farms or your Quick Check or Wawa or whatever you have as a sort of gas station convenience store type of thing. They usually have them. Of course, Walmart and Target will always have those types of things as well. Or take a trip to Hershey Park and they'll probably have it there too. Boy receives note from the post office confirming that his letter to his dad in heaven was delivered safely. It's always nice to have, a nice story mixed into all the shit that we have to go through. And the fact that, the post office understands and gets it and wanted the boy to feel like his letter that he wrote specifically for his dead father in heaven got to him, and his father knows how much he loved his son, loved him, and stuff like that. So, kind of a nice, sad story. Stan Lee passed away a couple weeks ago. His cause of death has been determined of being organ failure and pneumonia. And so, when you're up in the upper 90s like that, and you have that type of stuff, you're not going to be long for the world. Plus, a lot of the time when you have a great love like Stan did with his wife Joan, and Joan passed away earlier this summer, you just missed her you miss your wife so much that eventually you follow in death very quickly afterwards. I'm very familiar with it because my grandparents were kind of the same way. They were married for over, 50, 60 some years. And my grandfather was suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia. And my grandmother was in a hospice because she had some sort of circulation problem in her legs. And yay, Patrick Smith got me on the big screen. Hi, Patrick. But my grandmother died, and I've told this story a million times. I'm not going to get into it, but my grandmother died the week before my birthday, and her funeral was the day before my birthday. Grandfather passed away 6 months later because he missed his wife. And so it seems the same thing. Joan Lee died earlier this summer, and Stan passed away very shortly afterward. And they were married for 70 some years or something like that. So that's a kind of a romantic, I guess, type of thing. But the whole point of this is, Stan Lee was such an influence, particularly on Marvel Comics, that in order to celebrate his life or whatever, comics come in variant forms all the time. Let's see, do I have what a variant would look like? I think I have all regular covers this week. Yeah. There are multiple covers nowadays to like every comic. And, it's supposed to make them more valuable, I guess. But when you order them all at about the same rate, they're not going to be that valuable. And so people now just pick the ones they like the best. And so there was a... So you get, with Marvel, you get a regular cover that has, the name and all the stuff, and that's the main cover for the book. And when your comic shop orders it, that's like the first book that they order is the main one, and then they have all these other variants, and they say this artist did it, and this is what the picture looks like, blah blah blah, like that. Well, Marvel is going to be doing a Stan Lee like trade dress on all variant covers coming up soon. Let me see. Spider-Man is on issue 10, just came out. Probably in maybe late December, maybe sometime this month, or maybe in early January. It's going to be on the variant covers, and it's going to have a black bar that says Stan Lee, whatever his years were, 1935 to 2018, whatever it was, and something like that. So you'll have sort of a nice little thing about that. I'll probably pick up a couple, and I'll show you it on my Comic Haul show. I will let you know down the line when that is, so you can actually see what those covers are. I just have a picture of it somewhere on my phone, but I'm not gonna dig through it right now. So that's good for a good tribute to Stan Lee. Because they've been losing so many, not just Marvel but DC have been losing so many creative people recently. DC does something different. They do more of a interior double page ad type of thing when they lose a creator. Actually, let me just see if they have one of those available in here. Nope. No, they don't. Not this time. Because I guess there really isn't anybody who passed away recently that they haven't covered yet. So there you are. Speaking of people who died. So I just had a weird smell. No, and it wasn't a fart. Stop it, you guys. President George H.W. Bush died late last night, at the age of 94. His wife, Barbara Bush, passed away earlier this year. They've been married for 70 some years, I think 74 maybe. And again, it's one of these things where, she died earlier in the year, and like 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, he passed away as well. Now, I've been noticing a lot of, not vitriol, but some interesting stuff on Twitter about George H.W. Bush. And I guess you're going to get that with most every president. I wrote something on Facebook, and that's how I personally feel about it. And I'm going to bring it up again here because now I have this added thing I want to discuss that I've seen on social media as well. When Ronald Reagan was elected president, it was 1980. I was all of 7 years old. So at that time, I really didn't know anything about politics, character, history, whatever. I really honestly didn't care. I wanted to play with my Star Wars figures and play in arcade games. And then, 1984 rolls along there. I'm 11 years old. Bush and Reagan get elected again in a landslide. And again, don't really care, playing with G.I. Joes and Transformers there. Sorry, it smells like gasoline or something around here, which is weird. So then 1988 rolls around, and I'm 15 years old. Now I'm starting to get a little bit more of an idea of what's going on because I've taken history and politics, stuff like that, in high school and middle school, stuff like that, learned some things. Sorry, it's a really strong smell of gas, and I don't like it. Like gasoline. Maybe it's from upstairs. Maybe the cleaning solution mixed with whatever dirt and gunk we have up there is seeping down here. I don't know. Anyway, so 88, he runs against Michael Dukakis. And at this point, I still really wasn't following politics. I was 15 years old at that time. I really wasn't paying much attention to anything, really. And so, again, from 1980 to 1988, I really had no understanding of politics and stuff. I mean, yeah, I knew stuff was happening. Iran-Contra affairs, stuff like that. That's more in when I went to college, and I learned this stuff in high school. I learned more of this stuff, but more in college, I learned more about this type of stuff. And so my parents were Democratic, and I never really, from what I recall, never really heard anyone really of my parents really complaining about anything that Reagan or Bush did in the presidency. And then, so 88 rolls around, and Reagan can no longer be president. He did his 2 terms, and so Bush is riding on the popularity that is Ronald Reagan. So they win. The Republicans win a 3rd term of president. So they had Reagan in 80 and 84, and now they have Bush in 88. And he picked Dan Quayle as his vice president. He wanted to go with someone younger. Maybe not the brightest bulb in the land, but considering how things are nowadays, he actually was competent compared to things nowadays. And then 92 rolls around. At this time, I was now old enough to vote. Now, in 88, I was not. In 92, I was old enough to vote. And I was in college, and so my first vote was an absentee ballot. So, obviously, I wanted to learn more about stuff like that. I had known a little bit about, Bush. The biggest things I knew about Bush were, the Saddam Hussein, invading Kuwait, and the Bush sending out the armed forces to take care of that fairly quickly. Actually, he did it really quickly, but still, that was Desert Storm was the biggest thing that I remember. Everything from like 88 to 92 is kind of a haze to me. And also, I kind of remember the thing where, and this was just a more personal thing because it was so random, but George Bush getting sick at a meeting with, I think it was Japanese prime minister, like that, and he ended up throwing up on the Japanese prime minister, which, when there's not much you can do about that. It wasn't done deliberately. He was sick and he had to expel, and he just happened to be in the area where the Japanese prime minister was. Yeah, it sucks, but it happens. It wasn't done with malice or whatever. That he was sick. He wasn't feeling good. So I never really knew much about Bush or really hated a lot of what he did. Maybe I didn't quite understand it. Maybe my mind still wasn't fully formed around politics like that. But Bill Clinton came in and was this, seemed like a breath of fresh air. The Republicans had been in party for technically 12 years, not technically, for 12 years. They had been in power, basically. And it was time for a change, and Bill Clinton was that change. And so I voted for Bill Clinton on my first ever election. And he won, and he did 2 terms. I'm one of those guys. I voted in every election. I have never missed an election, even midterms and ones that had really no bearing on the presidency or whatever. I voted in everything that I've been able to vote in. So I vote in everything I can. So again, still getting into a little bit of political stuff and understanding things, starting to read things more about it. And then 2000 rolls in, and W gets elected, who is George H.W.'s son. And that's when things started going a little sour for me with things. He wasn't doing a great job. There's still some question about, did he actually win the election? Blah, blah. We're not going to go and rehash that stuff. And then 9/11 happens. And then from that point on, everything and so around that time is when I started following more about the politics. Now, what my point is that in 92, my first time voting, I voted for Bill Clinton. If Bill Clinton would have lost and George Bush would have won, I don't think I'd be devastated. Because, again, he seemed to me to be a competent president. He seemed to be very much what you expect from a president. He ran the CIA. He was a soldier. He cared about the Constitution. He cared about the country. Now, my point about all this is, so to me, you can call me naive or uninformed or whatever. That's fine. I didn't know a lot about him because it was just in a time of my life where I honestly really didn't care about politics. So now looking back, through my perspective, I had no issue with him because I always thought it was always cool that, once his son got elected, it just seemed like, I don't know, a weight off his back, or he was just, just realized, hey, life's short, let's have fun. And he starts being more relaxed and chill and hanging out with stuff. And he wanted to skydive for his birthday. He'd never done it before, and he wanted to skydive, and he loved it, and he did it again and again. And to show, class and sportsmanship and partisanship, whatever, he and his former opponent, Bill Clinton, created, I think, like a foundation together and did work together as a team to try to help make our country better. You've also seen probably the postings of the letter that George Bush left Bill Clinton on his first day of office. Basically, that's a tradition that presidents do. When a president is leaving the office, he writes a letter to the incoming president and writes it on the 20th of January, which is when the president gets sworn in as the new president. And so he wrote it and left it for him in the Oval Office, so that on his first day in the Oval Office or whatever, the new president would come in and read a note of encouragement, advice, whatever, from the outgoing president. And George Bush's letter to Bill Clinton, who had just humiliated him in a election in 92, was concise, classy, and showed to me that this guy cared about America and the Constitution and its people. Now, you could say I'm looking at it through rainbow-colored glasses, considering what's going on in our world right now. And that was what I also wanted to bring up now. So I wrote this, kind of nice things like, hey, I might not have agreed with everything he said, because I'm sure, since I'm Democratic, he's Republican, there was lots of things that I didn't agree with. Again, I don't remember what they are, because honestly, it's one of the things that I don't really remember. No, when a presidency is seemingly being run well, I don't remember stuff about that. Clinton stuff. I remember the sordid stuff. Obviously, everybody does, and I remember him balancing the budget, and that's really about it. With George W., I was a bit more informed because of the situation in Iraq and 9/11 and his, you know, mysterious way of becoming president and issues like that. And then 2004 in that election, which he won fair and square on that one, and continuing his, reign of doing stuff. And then, when President Obama came in over the last 8 years, I paid a little bit more attention because social media was a bit more open. But again, because it was running so well, I didn't really think much about it. I read some articles about, I got other things to worry about. I just had become a dad. I just became a homeowner. I had to get a serious job, and I was working on that. I didn't really think, because nothing seemed to be a problem. America was running as it should. You might not agree with everything that the presidents do or say or did, or the situations that came up. And every president has had a bad situation that they've had to deal with, multiple ones sometimes. And hell, W had to deal with Katrina. That was his big thing. And then there was a lot of stuff with President Obama and so on and so forth. And then, as I said, it becomes more in light now because of how shitty the world is right now and how awful our government is being run right now. And so obviously I'm paying more attention to what's going on in the world now because of all that, awful stuff that's happening. So my point is, when awful stuff doesn't happen and politics is running as usual, and maybe this is a bad thing to admit or whatever, I just don't care. If a story comes up that I find offensive or disturbing or whatever, then yeah, I'm going to start caring. But when the presidency is running as it should, with the occasional bumps, as I said, again, I really don't care. I got more important things to deal with. But the way things are being run now is shitty. Most of the time, somewhat through what W was doing was shitty. But to me, I don't really remember anything about Bush's job being shitty. Now, that's where I'm coming to another point I'm about to make. So that was my thought process this morning. I learned about this in the funniest way. I went to bed about 11:30 last night. I was tired, and I was kind of half in, half out. Dawn comes to bed about an hour later, about 12:30. And she says something to me about something. I don't remember what that. And then she turns and goes, "Oh, by the way, President H.W. Bush died." And I'm half asleep, like, okay. And then she had to go downstairs and do something else. And then she made her way back up. And then she crawled into bed about 1, I guess. So I knew, and I remembered when I woke up in the morning that had happened. So first thing I did this morning when I went to my yeah, thank you. Patrick Smith has just posted the letter that George Bush wrote to Clinton, and I read this to Dawn this morning when I read it as well. It's a great letter. It's fantastic. And thank you for posting it, Patrick. So, go on social media. I write my little post about basically what I just said, where I honestly didn't know much about him. Hell, I think I caught my dad off guard a few Christmases ago when I wanted to learn more about him, because I got into this phase where I wanted to read biographies, which I'm still in. Actually, I prefer biographies and history, because that's what I am. I have a BA in history. It's what I majored in college, and that interest is still within me. And to be honest, I read more biographies and historical books than I do regular fiction books. There's a few out there I'm still reading, but to be fair, the majority of books that I've been reading lately have been nonfiction. And I threw my dad off kilter a few years ago when I said, when he asked me, "What do you want for Christmas?" I was like, I kind of want to get a biography of George H.W. Bush. And my dad was like, "What?" He had this weird look on his face. I was like, "Okay." And I got one. It wasn't like, it's not like an official. It's not an autobiography. It's not like it's I guess not really like an official biography, but someone wrote a biography, and it's over on the bookshelf over there. And I think I'm gonna pick it up maybe after the show and maybe take upstairs and add it to my pile of books that I'm reading. I have a ton of pile of books in there. So just add it to the pile. So I'm looking through social media then a little later in the day, and I start seeing, particularly on Twitter, obviously, Twitter's the place where you see most of this stuff. You start seeing the people who are basically saying, what the hell are you guys looking at George H.W. Bush through rose-colored glasses? He was a he was a terrible, awful, horrible person who was shady as hell and had, was anti gay and lesbians and let AIDS overtake the world and killed hundreds of foreigners. And so they just started spouting off on all these things. And obviously it's probably true, that this stuff probably happened during his presidency. And in some cases, he might have been the one to say, we need to do this, we need to do that. Plus being the head of the CIA is still kind of a shady type of job anyway. It's just what the CIA is. It's spies, You're going to have to, do that kind of thing. And that's why, I can't fault people for that. Now, attacking somebody after they died, you know what? I get it. I do. I personally would think, give it a little bit of time before you attack someone that just died. Let the family recover a little bit. But I get it. There are people who might have been more affected by what he did, his policies, whatever, or their own personal belief systems that, hey, this guy was an asshole. And I can't believe all these liberals or Democrats are saying how great he is, or what a classy guy he was from a few things that he's done. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And in the end, as I said, they're probably right also that this stuff happened during his election. But that also does not diminish the fact that he was a patriot. He was a soldier. He ran the CIA, because without the CIA, we don't get a lot of shit. CIA gets the shit that we need to protect the country. He might have to do it dirty ways, because that's what the CIA does. The Army is the Army and Navy and the armed forces. They're the ones that go and get it done when we need to get it done in the face of the nation. But when you need something done quietly and secretly, that's where the CIA comes in handy. And you need someone who might be a little shady. Does that forgive him for doing shitty things? No, it doesn't. But you also got to realize that was part of the job. It's no matter how much you hate it and don't like it, the fact is you have to do bad things to protect yourself sometimes. So I'm still reading a lot of these posts of people who just absolutely despised HW and said, you all are out of your freaking minds about how great he is. He was a menace to society and should be, should be rotting in hell and stuff like that. And hell, I saw a tweet from someone who created the George H.W. Bush Twitter handle, and it says, boy, it's hot down here. And I was like, dude, seriously? Let the family, have a little bit of a break before you start saying he's burning in hell right now. Because yes, but again, I find that classless. But again, whoever created that might have been affected by something he did in a negative way. Maybe he lost family members that way. Maybe it was something personal about him or her that he upset, and that made their life a living hell for a while. I don't know. It's hard to say. But I'm just coming from what I know. And from what I've seen and what I've heard and from what I've read and from what I remember, he always seemed to be a true patriot, a true president, a true person who loved this country, a true American. not like the people we have in office now. This, and maybe that's what's making this more upfront to me, possibly, is that it is as shitty as it is now, and the people in power are shitty. And this guy, while he did shitty stuff, still had your respect as president of the United States. Rest in peace, George H.W. Bush. Also this week, the oldest Pearl Harbor survivor passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 106. So I guess that means there is no more Pearl Harbor survivors. He was I'm sure there probably is. That was just the oldest one. There probably is still a few more that might still be around, but he was the oldest. And also other sad story. I figure since I'm on a roll, why not? The creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, Steven Hillenburg, passed away this week at the age of 57. I think he had ALS, which is, I think, Lou Gehrig's disease, right? At the age of 57, man, that's 12 years from now for me. That seems really close. George Bush was 94. I'm looking at 50 years, 51 years, no, 49, 49 years away. That's almost a freaking lifetime before I reach President Bush's age when he passed away. But 57, that's 12 years. That's nothing. That's like that. And it just goes to show you that there are diseases out there that are ruthless, and they don't care how old you are or how successful you are or how good you are, how bad you are. They just care about killing you, and that's what they do. There's a petition out, and I think this is great, petition out by the fans of SpongeBob SquarePants who are trying to get the theme song to be played at the Super Bowl this year. I think that'd be a really cool idea if they could do that. That'd be fantastic. Sorry, I had to get some sports ball in there. Patrick, I'm going to get a few more a little bit soon here. I got a little off topic with George H.W. Bush. This episode might be a little longer than usual because I got a lot of stuff to cover. So let's start rolling through it. It's past 10 o'clock, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Sex and nudity, it had to happen. This is Dylan Knows. Of course it has to happen. Lighten the mood a little bit. The world's first, this is so awful looking, the world's first robotic blowjob sex toy is now on the market after it reached 500% of its crowdfunding goal. Not 100% of its crowdfunding goal. It tupled it 500% of its crowdfunding goal. I wish that I could set up a crowdfunding thing for my coffee shop and get it to be 500% of crowdfunding goal of the crowdfunding goal, because that would be like if I made the goal $1 million and I made $5 million. That's quite a difference, isn't it? But it's out there now. It's the world's first robotic blowjob sex toy. It's Dylan Knows. Come on, man. You know this is going to come. So is this. Reindeer boobs. Now, I mentioned something similar a couple weeks ago, but this is something I hadn't seen before. This is rainbow boobs. This is for the women out there, the ladies out there who want to be a little sexy, but don't want to be too sexy or too out there. And Patrick. Hey, animal sex nudity part. Yeah. Though I have to admit the animal sex, well, all animal sex is terrible anyway, and this one is awful. But we'll hit all these nudity things right now. Reindeer boobs. How do you do a reindeer boob? Well, let's show you. No, I'm just kidding. So what happens is, and it's for, I guess no men, I guess, could do it if you got moobs like I do. But, the thing is, for your Christmas party, if you want to have a rainbow boob, reindeer boob, you pull out a boob from your shirt, bra, whatever, so that it's exposed. You put a, what is it? A Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer glistening nipple, what is that word? Pasty on there, so you don't see the nipple. All you see is this big red nose. And then you add Google eyes above that. So you got the nose and the Google eyes, and then you add antlers to it, and you got reindeer boob. It's festive and it's sexy at the same time. You know, this is sex. I mean, this is sexy. I just saw this too. This one's just wrong. Identical twins, female identical twins, to become sister wives by marrying the same man. Now, that's always one of the big jokes out there, is that if you're a part of a twin, is there a little bit of funny business going on there? I mean, let's face facts. Let's take a hypothetical. These identical twin ladies, they're sisters in real life, obviously. They look the same. They're identical twins. And it always makes me believe is, if they're identical, I mean, they obviously have some sort of difference, but identical are identical. It's really hard to tell sometimes. So you fall in love with this one woman. She's gorgeous, beautiful, has a great body, whatever. And so I talked about rainbow boobs. Patrick's excited about it. And Scott Troutman's like, I'll stick with the more innocent ones and posted a picture of Rudolph. I love my viewers. So you see this beautiful woman. She's got a great body, great face, whatever, great personality, whatever. And it's like, oh, this is great. And you're getting along really well. And you meet her family for the first time. And damn, there's an identical woman that looks exactly like the one you're dating. Now, obviously, you know, attraction is not just on a mental level, it's on a physical level. That's a fact. You know, let's face it, you know, you feel physical attraction to somebody, and you also feel a mental one as well, obviously. So now, you know, you're kind of confused, like, there's a hot chick right over there that looks exactly like my hot chick that I have. Now, if she starts digging on you, then do you start bringing up the, hey, how about a little bit of double play action? Or in this case, they both started dating the same guy, and now they both want to marry this guy. Isn't that kind of weird? Particularly when you're identical twins? I guess to be continued down the line. Let's see, do I have any other... Oh, yes, Hugh Hefner allegedly dumped numerous sex tapes into the sea before his death. Obviously, he knew he was going to die soon, so he just decided to get this done before it happened. Featuring his sexual trysts with A-listers that could be a problem down the line. So in order to not get, you know, in trouble and not get the A-listers in trouble, maybe the A-listers he had sex with were married already or were big stars, and the fact that you slept with Hugh Hefner might diminish their career or whatever. So he decided to not only protect himself and his legacy or whatever, but that of other people that he's had sexual liaisons with. Now, there's always been that rumor that him and Marilyn Monroe had a sexual relationship as well because he was obsessed with her. I don't know how true that is because I've also heard stories that Marilyn Monroe was freaked out by him also. So I don't know. But the fact is there were videos of sexual trysts he had with A-listers. And that's the actual term they used, A-listers. So, you know, let the speculation begin. You know, is it A-listers through his whole career from the 60s up to today? It could be. I don't know. Interesting. So did that. I don't know. There might be not that many sex this week. Sorry to disappoint you there, Patrick. I think I got one more, which is the bad one. Oh no, that's not really love. It's just a weird story, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It'll fit into this sort of thing. A 34-year-old woman gets engaged to a 91-year-old chandelier. This is not The Onion. This is a true story. This is along the lines of the story I talked about last month about the woman who claims to have a sexual relationship with a ghost and now wants to marry the ghost. This 34-year-old woman is engaged to a 91-year-old chandelier. Again, not The Onion. This was on yahoo.com or something like that. Now she's getting a tattoo of the chandelier on her arm as a token of her love for it. People are weird. Anything else before I get to the really, really bad stuff? That's just weird. I'll talk about that a little later. I think that might be it. Yeah, that's the headline of the year, which I'll get to near the end of the show. Ooh, we got a bunch of poop stuff to talk about. Ooh, I can get the poop stuff together. Yes. Yeah, I think that's about it. So the last story, I gotta see that picture. So, telling the story about the woman engaged to a chandelier. Scott Troutman posted an awesome GIF. I'm going to retweet this. Awesome GIF of a woman swinging on a chandelier. I love you guys so much. Don't worry, guys. I'll be retweeting all your stuff later today. But I just had to do that. That was just funny. All right, now to get serious. This is a disgusting story, as all these stories are. And it just seems so long ago that there was a period of about 2 to 3 weeks where I had none of these type of stories. And then all of a sudden, there was one last week and the week before that. Well, here's another one for you. Hey, this is considered to be Dylan Knows territory. This is what I do. Am I bringing this up to make fun of it? Not really. It's to bring awareness about it because it's kind of disturbing and it needs to stop. But here's the story. A captive orangutan was forced to wear makeup and earrings at a brothel where customers paid $2 to have sex with the orangutan. That just, just the fact that it was a captive orangutan and you did this to an orangutan and basically sold it as a sex slave is just disturbing beyond all words and accounts. And whoever did this or came up with this, they should be shot and killed and sent to hell. So hopefully that, and you're wondering why the animals are trying to rise up against us. Come on, man, that's disgusting. Stop doing this kind of shit, will you? Oh, God. Anyway, moving on. So to go from that end to this end, New Zealand, and this is something that could maybe be beneficial down the line for a situation that can take this orangutan story and take it away and let that orangutan go free and not have to deal with this trauma. New Zealand is recognizing that all animals, not just certain ones, all animals are sentient beings. Now that seems to be a problem with a lot of people nowadays, is that they see animals as nothing but brainless, animals, as animals that have no feelings or emotions and stuff like that. And that is bullshit. Anyone who's owned a pet of any kind or has seen, horrific stuff happen to animals or whatever. And even, I have a friend who's vegan, and all the stories that she posts on Facebook about the horrible conditions that cows and sheep and pigs and stuff like that go through, while is not going to change my tune on being a meat eater, because I just like meat too much, and call me a terrible person if you like. But the fact is, it opens your eyes a little bit that maybe there is some aspect of awfulness happening, and that these animals are sentient beings, and they are living sentient beings. And I try to post as many videos as I can on my Facebook, my Twitter pages, where animals show these emotions. Like the one particularly that I remember distinctly is a cat who was being saved. No, it wasn't a cat, it was a panda. There was a cat in there as well. There was a cat, it's a similar story, a cat or a panda or some animal like that, that was being saved from a burning building or forest or whatever by a firefighter. And I think it was a cat. And the cat was clinging to the firefighter, and the look on the cat's face was pure anguish and fear, but also a little bit of sadness and a little bit of relief that they're going to be okay, but that they suffered through a serious thing like that. I think I've seen that with pandas before. I think the panda one thing about was the one that was dehydrated, and the fire people went over and were giving it water to help make it survive. I try to post as many of these great animal stories as I can, because animals are not people, but are sentient beings. And I'm so happy that New Zealand has finally said, you know what, you got to treat them better. And hopefully this will maybe spiral outwards, and we'll get into some of this stuff too. On that note, also dogs, and for those who own dogs, you pretty much probably know this already. Vegetarian. Patrick. People who own dogs probably know this already. And you know, even if you don't own dogs, you probably could, just from what you've seen and heard before, dogs can recognize bad and bad people, let's just say, and some other word, bad person, you know, someone who's bad, awful, evil, terrible. Dogs can recognize that these people are not good, and they try to stay away from them. So, you know, dogs are smart, even though they might not appear to some people that they are, but they are. They're really, really smart. Let's see any other animal stuff real quick before I get on to a couple movie things. The giant cow, as tall as Michael Jordan. That's been a big story that's been going on out there nowadays. This cow is huge. He's like 6'5". He's humongous. And so it went viral, and then people are starting to throw stuff to the wind. There was someone from New Zealand again who had a big ass horned cow that was huge also. So they're out there, and you know, good on that, you know, that they survived to be that big. What is that? Where was that? Oh, this is sad news. The eastern puma has been declared extinct. It hasn't been seen for a long time, but people just thought it was in danger because they thought that the puma, the eastern puma, which is here on the East Coast in the woods, stuff like that, was where it was originally, you know, resided. That they were just hiding in the woods and never came down. They would be left alone, so they didn't think much about it. But there's been nothing, no dead bodies, no footprints, no pictures, even with the arrival of encroachment from neighborhoods and business and stuff like that onto the woods. There's been no eastern pumas coming out and say, what the hell's going on here? So they are officially declaring it as extinct. Now, it doesn't always mean that they are. It means that all evidence is pointing to the contrary, that it is true. But there have also been times where animals have been declared extinct, and all of a sudden they're back. And let's hope that that's what happens with the eastern pumas. Buy a half of a Christmas tree now and protect your holiday from bad cats and dogs. You know, I've luckily had a cat. All the cats that I've had have never really been that interested in climbing the trees. They've always been interested in drinking the water when we had live trees, but we've gotten the artificial ones now. But Jinx never climbs artificial trees. We have a tree skirt around the bottom, and she prefers to, curl up on that and go underneath the tree. It keeps her kind of invisible because the tree branches come down a little bit with the lights and stuff like that. So you can't really see her unless you know she's there. So she loves that kind of thing. But she never climbs trees. Now, on the flip side, Snickers, Scott McDonald's cat, loves the inside of the tree. and is climbing it all the time. And then I saw from the Eilers that their cat Bob is also climbing into trees now. Now, there have been some pictures and memes lately of things that you can do to stop this from happening. One has putting like a little cage around the smaller Christmas tree so the animals can't get into it. This one is a half a Christmas tree. So the bottom is like all like trunk. And then about, I don't know, maybe 3-4 feet up is where the tree starts so that the cats can't reach it. But you can still have like a mini tree sort of thing. So you got that right there. This is just plain weird. And I don't know how true this is. This picture looked really weird. It looked like it was from a reputable website, but I'm not exactly sure because I haven't heard anything else about this. A farmer's goat gives birth to a half pig, half human, and it looks like it could bring bad luck. Now, how does a goat give birth to a pig human? Maybe that's the mystery. The picture they showed was really weird, and I don't know how true it is, but it looked fairly true. I mean, for the most part. Am I naive enough? Yeah, sure. You know, I could believe that I'm naive enough that it's probably not true. But hey, what do I know anyway? I think that's all the animal stories I got this week. Yep. Oh no, here's another good story. IKEA opens its doors to stray dogs who need to warm up or need a safe place to sleep. Let them sleep on the rugs in their IKEA display cases. So that's nice of IKEA to do that. You know, if you have some stray dogs, you know, coming in. Now, the only problem with that is you have to be careful with them where they go to the bathroom, or if they have rabies or whatever, or make sure that you do it maybe after hours when there aren't people in there in case they are aggressive or whatever. But, you know, it's a nice story, and hopefully that will be a regular thing. All right, the last thing, I got 2 things left on this page, and then we'll move on to the next page. I'm going to talk about this real quick. Pokemon Go stuff. Today was Community Day. It was early enough because they're going to do the Christmas event, the holiday event, the winter event, whatever, in a couple weeks. But Community Day, for those that don't know, for Pokemon Go is for once, and this started this year, for one Saturday or one Sunday, one day during every month for a 3-hour period. There was a specific Pokemon that is going to spawn more in the world, and you can catch as many as you can, and you can then evolve it, and the evolution will have a special move that it'll only be available during that 3-hour window. You also get other special bonus like, you know, quicker egg hatching times and, you know, double Stardust and candies and stuff like that. So every year every month we would set aside and we do an event, and it was a lot of fun. It was a family thing, and we'd go different places and explore places we've never been before, and we've gone back to multiple places before. Next year, they should be doing it again next year. We will be doing some new places. We'll probably do Gettysburg one month rather, and there might be a few other places we might do, but we'll go back to some of the regular places like Patterson Park and Columbia Mall and stuff like that. So what they did this month for Community Day was to celebrate the end of the year and the first year of Community Day. All 11 of the previous Pokemon that were released during these Community Days are now spawning more in the wild. It's a long event. It started yesterday. It's going to go through tomorrow. So you can go out and catch all these same Pokemon are spawning more than they usually have. All the ones that had Community Days, and they will have their moves again. So you catch them and you can evolve them. Plus there's the shinies that come out as well. So it's a big thing for Pokemon Go players. It's a way to get, you know, a lot of candies real quick and get more evolutions. And again, it's a together thing. We went to Columbia Mall again since it was raining today, and it was a holiday celebration and Christmas. You know, we did some Christmas shopping and stuff like that. So it was fun. So it's all good. So that was this year's Community Day. Next year, they'll get back to normal with one day they'll have one Pokemon for 3 hours. So hopefully we'll get some different ones than we did this year. Obviously, we probably will. But the other big thing going on Pokemon Go is they finally, after years of talking about it, is PvP is going to be making an entrance. Player versus player will be making an entrance. So if you are a Pokemon Go player and you're out walking and you happen to stumble upon another one who's also out walking, something will pop up and say, "Hey, do you want to fight?" And like, sure. So you use your Pokemon to fight, and you get coins or whatever. They've just announced it, so they're probably still working out the kinks. It probably won't be released until next year. But the fact is that they've talked more about it recently, which means it's going to happen sooner than later. They're also going to be setting up leagues you can do for league play, which I think is really a neat thing. So good on that for Pokemon Go players. Back to film now. So Patrick Smith, you can wake up now. Wizard of Oz beats Star Wars as the most influential movie of all time. This was in some sort of list that a movie company did, determining how influential a movie was to other movies. And I'm still not quite sure how Wizard of Oz beat Star Wars, because Star Wars, before Star Wars came out, sci-fi was considered a joke. And as soon as Star Wars came out and it made a ton of money, it became a logical and a successful genre of film. And so you'd think that, because almost immediately afterwards, Close Encounters came out. Star Wars came out in 1977. Close Encounters came out in 1978. Was huge. So people were dying for sci-fi and alien stuff. And then that opened the floodgates. And we got some shitty alien movies. We got some really good ones like E.T. and other Star Wars movies and Independence Day and Men in Black. And, it's still going on now. And then it's just sci-fi in general. So I don't know. I was going to spend this time detailing my Wizard of Oz. Glinda the Good Witch was actually the bad guy in the Wizard of Oz, but I'll save that for another episode of Dylan Knows. I might have done it previously, but it might be something fun to do in the new year. I just happened to talk about it at work. Some people at work had never heard my theory before, so I went over it in complete detail, and it still holds up. Netflix settled for $50 million with the Church of Satan. Church of Satan brought about a lawsuit against Netflix for the TV series Sabrina. I guess they were suing for defamation of character because it made all Satanists look like evil, killing people, and Satanists are not those types of people who slaughter people like you've always seen and blame that. So, okay, Patrick Smith approves of the Wizard of Oz beating Star Wars. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, I like both movies. Nothing wrong with that. And yes, Scott, I saw your picture of Glinda the Good Witch. I have a really good theory, but I got a lot to cover today. I would love to talk about it now, but maybe some other time. So, $50 million is a lot, and for defamation of character, I guess, that could be considered defamation of character because the Satanists are always portrayed as being these evil, sadistic, awful, terrible people. And from what I've read, they actually really aren't. They are against killing of all time, actually. They're more for, because they believe that the devil is more into like physical sin type stuff, like enjoying yourself, over drinking, over fucking, overeating, just having a grand old time, and not caring really about consequences and stuff like that. And they have no racial barriers. Everyone is welcome to hang out with them, and they don't disapprove of any sexual orientation, stuff like that. As I said, this is just from what I've been reading about various other things. I don't know anything. I'm not a Satanist. I'm not this is a bad thing, but I don't want to get accused of being an evil, awful person. Speaking of evil, awful people, Netflix again, they just canceled Daredevil, so that makes Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Daredevil, all canceled. Defenders was going to be canceled anyway, so all left is Jessica Jones. She's the last one standing. And it wouldn't surprise me if she goes the way of that way too, because let's face facts. Disney is creating their own streaming service. They're going to have all the Marvel stuff on there. They're taking it off, and all the Disney and Marvel stuff off of Netflix, putting it on their streaming services. Make sure my hands, because I get that gas smell again. And why should Netflix be promoting Marvel and their streaming service by having these, Punisher's also in there as well, having these shows based about Marvel characters? So it wouldn't surprise me if Punisher and Jessica Jones get canceled really soon also. Now, is Disney streaming going to pick them up and make new shows about them? I don't know, because someone actually made a good point, is that their point is they're going to try to be more family oriented. You know, like the Marvel movies are still, even though they're PG-13, they're kind of a family oriented type of stuff. And then the Disney movies and stuff like that, and the shows they got coming up, Scarlet Witch and Loki and Groot and Rocket Raccoon and all these Nick Fury, all that stuff, they're all stuff that, you know, all ages can watch for the most part. So what's going to happen? We'll know. We'll find out. To be continued. Couple who wanted to get married, I think it was in Washington, D.C. of all places, actually, had to prove to somebody that New Mexico is an actual state of the United States and not some made-up country. This clerk thought that they were lying by saying they were from New Mexico. They said, that's not a real place. It's not a United States country. It's not our state, rather. It's not a state of the United States. What is all that? So they had to prove that New Mexico was a state of the United States. Again, that just goes to what I've been saying for weeks and weeks, is that the uneducated masses are the ones that are screwing everything up. Get educated. Learn your shit, all right? Take the time out and learn stuff. Your life will be better for it, and you won't be saying stupid things anymore like that. Yes, New Mexico is a freaking state. It's a big state, too. It's out west. Awful, stupid, uneducated buffoons. No wonder we're in the mess we're in now. Speaking of stupid things, hey, you ever heard the one where there's an active shooter at your place of employment or at a school, and they're shooting and killing people left and right, and you're hiding and cowering in a room, and the killer comes in, the active shooter comes in, and you realize you got to do something to protect your friends, yourself, or whatever. So what do? You grab your hockey puck and you throw it at them. That is what somebody is saying is the best defense for an active shooter, is to be carrying around hockey pucks. And when they come in to shoot you, you throw the hockey puck at them. Now, everybody, here's the thing. The only way for that to work, to be honest, is if everybody was throwing a hockey puck at this person, because hockey pucks are heavy. They're pure, thick rubber. A little heft to them. And you fling that stuff and you hit somebody, it's going to hurt. But if only one person has a hockey puck and throws at the shooter, you can either miss him, and he's going to go, you're the first one to go. It's going to hit him, but it's only going to take him a few seconds to get himself reoriented. And he's like, okay, I'm going to get you then. Or he's going to shoot somebody else during that time. Hockey pucks are not the answer to active shooters. It's better than the good guy with a gun theory. Yeah, that's considering how that's going. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Scott. It's you know, the good guy with a gun who gets confused once the event is over as being the one who ends up, who people No, the police come, they think, hey, he's got a gun, he must be the shooter. New Mexico is just south of New Canada. Everyone knows that. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, actually, that's true. New Canada. So, just uneducated morons. This is actually kind of interesting. And let me just lay it out here. You know, when you go to a kitchen and you're storing your food or stuff like that, say you have like cookies or sweets or I think it's mostly for that type of stuff, sweets and candies like that. You know, if you have some kids or you yourself, you get a little peckish and you say, you know, I really shouldn't have a candy bar or cookie or candy here, but I'm just going to grab a couple and eat it. Before you know it, you've eaten a whole bag of Skittles. And you're like, oh, you've gained weight. It's bad for your teeth. It's bad for your health. So someone has created the time lock container. It's a kitchen container, typical plastic sort of container that you can store cookies, candy, stuff you don't want people snacking on or getting sick on or whatever. You put it in one of these containers and you put a time lock on it. 5 hours, 10 days, a year. And that sucker will not open until that time is up. So if some kid's trying to sneak a cookie or sneak some Halloween candy and you told them, no, you can't have it, but they're like, I don't need to listen to you. And the only place they have them is in this time lock container. They're going to have to wait. It's a neat idea. Speaking of food, new Burger King Whopper has 8 slices of cheese. 8 slices of cheese on the new Burger King Whopper. Whew. Wow. Do you want some meat with your cheese? The Christmas light charger is now available, but only phone charger, but only for the iPhone. Sorry, guys. It looks like a charger that, when you're out and about. I didn't call you uneducated morons because in general, I don't think that you people don't think hockey pucks are good defense against gun shooters or that New Mexico isn't a state. You're the most educated people because you're watching this show. Or unless you want to call yourself uneducated morons for watching this show. Whatever. So, phone chargers are, when you're out and about and your phone's battery is dying and you don't have your charger with you, you get one of these things, you put it in, and it's a wire and it's battery operated and it charges your phone right back up. We use them for Pokemon Go and stuff like that. Well, they have one now that has Christmas lights attached to it. So you can have the charger and you can wrap the Christmas lights around wherever you're charging your phone with this charger with. So kind of cute, but again, only for iPhones for now. Speaking of lights, this is really cool, and I want to find one of these. There's actually a light bulb out there now, an LED light bulb that looks like fire. So it can look like you have an old school fire light. You put the light bulb into the socket of like the light here, back there, and it looks like it's fire is moving up and down. I want to buy one like now and put it in my outside of my porch light. That is just it looks really cool, and I want to get one. So you got to see if I can find it. Hey, you're looking for something for the holidays? Hey, you like my last week, Patrick? I know you like my one. How about this? You like my was it too much light on there? Let's turn this off. It's my cat riding a bobcat dressed as Santa Claus. Says believe on it. You like that shirt? Well, holiday shirts are like the big thing now, and everybody's getting into it. So this year, Taco Bell has their holiday collection of T-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts with Taco Bell stuff on it. Like tacos and chalupas and stuff like that all over the stuff. So you can wear the stuff you like to eat. Now, I can't say anything about because on a lark last year, I talked about the Meat Mountain at Arby's, which was the biggest sandwich I'd ever eaten that has all the meats that Arby's serves. It had chicken, roast beef, turkey, brisket. What else do they do? Steak, and then different types of cheese all in one big sandwich. It was delicious. It'll fill you up and keep you full for the rest of the day. And it's $11, but it's a damn good sandwich. So I took a picture of it, and I tweeted Arby's about it. They tweeted me back and said, hey, since you had that, why don't we send you some meat sweats? So I was like, okay, fine. So I gave him my size, and a few weeks later, I got something in the mail. It was a Arby's sweatshirt, hooded sweatshirt, and sweatpants with like their roast beef burger on it, and I absolutely love it. It's nice and warm. I wore it outside to shovel snow last year. I'll probably wear it on the show sometime in the future. It's so cool. So now Taco Bell's getting into the act with their holiday collection, so why not? This looks like a really cool thing. Inflatables are making a big thing. If you go out and about now and take a look at all the decorations for the holiday out there, you're going to find all kinds of inflatables. We have a pretty big Jewish community up here. There's one house that has a Star of David inflatable, which I think is awesome, that they put out for Hanukkah. And yeah, I think they do it for Passover and Rosh Hashanah also. But they put out, I know they put out for Hanukkah because I see it because it's right down the street from my house. So I see it when we look around at that, stuff like that. So inflatables are like huge. I talked about last week, there's a 12-foot tall Grinch inflatable. Dawn just bought me 2 smaller inflatables and a big snowman one that lights up. So I can't wait to put that out probably tomorrow because it's not supposed to rain tomorrow. Or is it? It's supposed to rain later in the day, maybe. But inflatables are just not for the outside. They are now apparently for the inside because there is in the inflatable whack-a-mole game. You know the game whack-a-mole where you have a bunch of little holes and you have a soft hammer. And it's like it plays a VR case and little groundhogs' heads pop up and you bop them on the head with that. And the more you hit with your hammer, the more points you get, the better, the better the more money or whatever, like at Chuck E. Cheese, the more tickets you get, whatever. But it's the better, you want to compete. Whoever hits the most wins. Well, now they have one where someone stands in the middle with an inflatable hammer and there are all these circles around them and people, you, me, Pat, whatever, Scott, we pop up and the person who's hitting them tries to hit the people popping up from that. It's inflatable whack-a-mole. That's why I should name this episode instead of cotton candy meth, but we'll get to that story in a second. Another inflatable story is a giant Santa Claus inflatable blocked traffic over in England earlier this week when it broke loose from a house that it was stationed on. And the house is on like a kind of a busy road, not like a highway, but a busy enough road. And it tumbled over onto the roadway and it caused a massive backup on this road till they figured it out. So just kind of interesting about that. My inflatable is never going to be big. Now, of course, if I had the 12-foot tall Grinch one, that might be a different story. So where did I see that? It's up here somewhere. Well, I'm trying to look for it. Oh, there it is. I already marked it. Okay. I was going to talk about glitter gravy. There's glitter everything now. Glitter butts, glitter clothes, glitter presents, glitter everything. Glitter, glitter, glitter. Well, now you can have glitter gravy for your holiday meals. It's gravy that actually has, glitter in it, and it's edible. I think I talked about this earlier. There was such a thing as uh, considering my thoughts on inflatables from a few days ago, I could have fun whacking some inflatables to a pulp. Yeah, that's right. Scott wrote earlier he doesn't like the inflatables. They're gaudy and tacky. So that's funny. Um, but yeah, so um, glitter gravy. It's edible glitter. I had an episode a few weeks ago called Edible Glitter, talking about, and you can eat glitter now. Well, you mix some glitter into your gravy, and you can have glitter gravy for your holiday meals. So, hooray! All right, boom. Let's go back to this page. I'm almost on this one. Massive Godzilla statue was revealed in Japan. So they actually have a giant Godzilla statue in Japan. Why not? You just need to have a giant Pikachu statue there as well. It'd be absolutely perfect. Sylvester Stallone is retiring the role of Rocky. He will not play it again. The last time you saw him was in Creed 2. But Stallone has declared that he will not be playing Rocky Balboa anymore. So after what? 2 Creed movies, 5 Rocky numbered movies, and then like 1 or 2 other, that's 5, 6, 7, like something like that. About 9, 10 movies, you've got Rocky retiring. And that's fine, because he's always going to be an iconic character. An iconic actor in Mr. Tom Hanks. Patrick Smith and we once had a discussion about the top Tom Hanks movies of all time. Tom Hanks has now been cast. I think has been cast, or is in the running to play Geppetto in the live action version of Pinocchio. Now, we've been talking about the live action Disney stuff that they're doing. Next year, they're doing 4 or 5 of them: Aladdin, Lion King, Dumbo, and I want to say Mulan are all going to be coming out next year. They're all live action Disney movies, which is kind of a misnomer, because you're still doing computer generated animations. You're not having actual lions running around and talking and singing songs, which would be cool, but it's not going to happen. It's still basically kind of an animated movie. But I digress. Space is awesome. I've always loved space, and we had a big space event happen today. Not today, this week. The Mars InSight lander, which I discussed a little bit last week. Well, it officially landed on the surface of Mars without a hitch, without any problems, and we have another lander on Mars. Now, what's happening with that is it's not a rover, so it ain't going anywhere. Its basic job primarily is to drill into the ground around it to try to discern if there's water under the surface, microscopic creatures, aliens, whatever. They're digging. They're going to dig into the ground. Hell, they'll probably find some oil, and then they're like, "Hey, oil on Mars. Let's go open up an oil refinery and let's make tons of money." But that's what they're going to be doing now for a while. If you want to follow what it discovers, there is a Twitter account, Mars InSight. So you do that, and they'll give you it. They'll update it every day or whatever with pictures and what it does and what it's discovered, stuff like that. So exploration is happening on Mars again. Geez, people are just talking. Where was it? Okay, I have to do one more little sports ball thing, Patrick. I just have to, because I'm very impressed about this. Franklin High School, this is a local story, which is right down the road from here, will be the high school that Noah and Noel go to if they decide to go to a regular high school and not a magnet school or something like that. But if they decide to go to a regular high school, Franklin High School is going to be the one. It's right down the road from here. Well, in the last, I would say probably roughly 10 years or so, the Franklin High School football team has been outstanding. A couple of years ago, it won back-to-back state championships, which is, for their division, which is always impressive when a high school football team wins, or any sports team really wins the state's I got one more space story coming up, Patrick. I just want to talk about this real quick. Um, so they won back to back, and after they won back to back, they've made the trip a few more times recently, in recent times, but they've always gotten beaten. So they haven't won the state in a while until this week. They're state champions again this week. They won on a last second field goal. 17-13 was the 17-14 was the final. So congrats to Franklin High School, the guys right down the street from us. Probably some of them live in our neighborhood, possibly. They always come around and they try to sell stuff to raise money for, the football team, so they can have travel, and I mean the school pays for a little bit of that, but gives them a chance to do other stuff as well. So that's good on that. So congratulations to that. Also, my nephew's college, Appalachian State, won the first ever Sun Belt Championship today in football. So they were the champions of the Sun Belt. So congratulations to him. He didn't play, but he's a fan, obviously. It's always good being a alumnus of a school that does well in football. I got one more story before I get to another space story here. This one you've probably heard about because it's gone viral also. Southwest Airlines, a gate agent, is getting into a little bit of hot water for making fun of a young girl's name. The mother named the daughter ABCDE, or as they pronounce it, Absidy. And the Southwest Gate person made fun of this young girl's name. First and foremost, parents get a little too clever. Excuse me. That was actual gas. Sorry. Parents get a little too clever with names sometimes. And they don't realize that what they think is being cute and clever and stuff like that, when it comes to a person's name, that this person has to live, your child has to live with this name for the rest of their life. And think it's clever. Hey, let's name our kid ABCDE, the first 6-7 letters of the alphabet, and call her Absidy. Cassidy is a popular name, but we don't want to call her Cassidy. We want to change things up and call her Absidy. First and foremost, that's just, you don't do that to kids. You don't name them that. Or Pilot Inspector was another one that a actor named their kid. And other stuff. You don't, Prince, not Prince, but like, Prince Jackson or stuff like that. King, Apple. You don't name your kids crazy things. You can find creative names, and you can make a case that maybe Absidy was a cute name. At the same time, sure, you could. But at the same time, you have to remember that your child has to deal with this name for the rest of their life. They're going to have to spell it. They have to explain it. They will be made fun of. They will be made fun of, and it's not good. Now, it's fun sometimes to have a unique name. Like Dylan used to be a unique name for the longest time until about the late 80s, early 90s, particularly with the advent of 90210. And then now Dylan is, a fairly popular name now. But, Noelle was the name we named our daughter. We thought it was a really beautiful name. It was a unique name, and she loves the name. And, down the line, could she get made fun of it because it's like Christmas, the first Noel, all like that? Yeah, but, at the same time, she's born 13 days before Christmas. It's a beautiful name, and it's actually a name that a lot of people actually have. There's a comic book artist by the name of Noelle Stevenson, spelled the same way. There is, a character in a book. This is where we got it from, one of Dawn's favorite books, that was named Noelle, and we thought, that'd be a beautiful name, and my daughter loves it. It's not a crazy, weird, bizarre name like Pilot Inspector, but it's a unique name, and my daughter likes it for now. But at the same time, even if, you might go off the rails a little bit with the naming and stuff like that, nobody has the right to make fun of your name. Even if it's weird and bizarre and stuff like that, you have no right to make fun of somebody's name. It's not right. And so that's all I have to say about that. The spin grate on the grill. If you ever wanted to get something that, a unique thing to put on your grill, it's a spin grate. You put the food in a grate, you put that on the grill, and you can spin it so that it gets a different parts of the heat as it spins around. So just that seemed like a little neat idea thing, so I figured I'd do that. I did promise I would do another space story. There's not a lot this week. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more down the line. But this one is just kind of a, oh my God, really? The Russians are planning a flight over the landing spot of the moon to make sure that the Americans actually did land on the moon. So Russia is literally going to send a ship to the moon to try to photograph the landing site of Apollo 11. Okay, waste of time. It's there. There's plenty of proof that it's not been faked. You just got to get over that. Finally, going to get to why this episode is named Cotton Candy Meth. This is another story that went viral. Police mistake cotton candy for meth, arrest a woman who spends 3 months in jail because of it, and eventually is released once they decide, oh, wait a second, this is cotton candy, not meth. I don't do meth, but I know what cotton candy looks like, and I don't think it looks like meth. From what I recall, meth is kind of like a powder, almost like cocaine. I could be wrong on that aspect, but how can someone mistake cotton candy for meth? It boggles my mind. I don't know. Florida man has been was a victim of a revenge killing over a stolen PlayStation 4. Come on, people, really? You killed somebody because of a stolen PlayStation 4. It's a video game system. You don't kill people over stuff like that. It's just ridiculous, and it's wrong, and it's dumb. End of story. Many people and an exorcist believe that Celine Dion's new children's clothing line is demonic. I don't know why. Does it have 666 in it? I don't know. But why the hell would you think a clothing line is demonic? Is this similar to the whole Church of Satan thing where people are confused about what Satanism is or isn't? And they believe that this is satanic clothing that is going to draw the devil out and say, oh, cool, you're wearing a Celine Dion, aren't you? Really? Fans of Star Trek. Montgomery Scott now has his own scotch. Go to your local liquor store, see if you can find it. Montgomery Scott's scotch. Awesome. I went to a liquor store not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and I saw for the first time ever the Walking Dead wine. I thought it was only available in certain areas. A local liquor store has it, so hey, I might have to pick some of that stuff up too. One more sports ball thing here. Patrick, this one's basketball related. Last year, college basketball's NCAA tournament Final Four, one of the teams was Loyola. And Loyola was one of these, Cinderella stories that made its way all the way to the Final Four. Any given day during the tournament, a team can make it to the Final Four. A good example locally is UMBC, a little small school up here in Baltimore, not too big, not too great, not in a smaller division. Then it's not really considered a basketball school or whatever, but it does have a team and it plays in a division along with other smaller schools. They won their championship and they get an automatic ticket to the dance. Which is what they call the NCAA tournament. And they were a number 15 seed or 16 seed. 15 seed, I think it was. Or was it 16? I think it might have been 16 seed, which is like the worst seed you can have. And the first game you play is against the one of the number one teams. There's 4 number 16s and there's 4 number 1s. And the number 1s always play the 16s because it's supposed to be an easy game for a team to make their way to, their progression into the Final Four is going to get harder and harder as you move closer to the Final Four. Well, last year, Virginia, which was a number 1 seed, went up against number 16 UMBC. Number 16 UMBC knocked it out. First time in history. First time in history that that's ever happened. And it was UMBC. They also won their second game, I think, and then they lost their third one. But Loyola was a similar story. They were like a 15 or a 14 seed, and they had to play I think it was a 15 seed. I think they had to play a number 2. And they beat them, and then they started beating everybody else, and they got to the Final Four. And along the way, since Loyola in Chicago, which is where this is located, is kind of a Catholic kind of college, there was a fan by the name of Sister Jean, one of the teachers, I guess, who was an actual nun, who was like the good luck charm, was at every one of the games that they were at, and became sort of her own viral celebrity type of thing. Well, they made it to the Final Four. They didn't win, obviously, but they made it to the Final Four, and they get a special ring for that. Well, they gave one of those rings to Sister Jean. I think that's really clever, and that's good. And by the way, Patrick, this isn't satanic. This is a cat riding another cat delivering Christmas presents. Believe, man. Believe. Here's something you're not going to believe. A couple of poop stories. How long do you think it would take if you ingested a Lego? How long would you think it would take to poop it out? Well, scientific study happened, and they discovered about 2 days. So if you ate a Lego by accident or on a dare or whatever, if it doesn't shred your insides, you'll poop it out in about 2 days. 2 days. Just letting you know. Public service announcement here on Dylan Knows. Remnants of poop has also been found on all of the McDonald's touchscreens tested in London. I guess there's touchscreens either that people do or I can't tell if it was the ones that people did, because there's some that do touchscreens now where the people who want the food, they can order their stuff that way, or if it was the touchscreens from the people who worked there. Either way, all the screens had remnants of poop on it. This was another study and test. That's just kind of disgusting. But again, it's also probably very microscopic that you don't notice there, because, when you poop and you wipe and all the stuff, you think there'd be more important things for scientists to study. Yeah, I agree. But hey, here we are. When you wash your hands, even made with soap, there might still be some remnants of poop. Or you've heard the story that I mentioned on my show before also, where those hand dryer blowers, they actually blow bad stuff back out onto your hands and you just don't know it. So whatever. Okay, I did that one. Hey, did you know that watching the Kardashians on television is actually makes you a worse person? Don't be a worse person. Say no to Kardashians. Again, another study. Raise your hand if you were a fan of the cartoon Scooby-Doo. I was. I admit it. I watched the old ones when they reran them in the 80s and any new ones that popped up. Well, there was a series that came out in the late 80s, I think, that, even though I was still a little bit older than normal, I still liked watching cartoons. It was a new Scooby-Doo show called The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. I think it had to do with, it came out after Ghostbusters' success and stuff like that. Had Vincent Price in a vocal role. Poop emojis, yep. Had Vincent Price in a voice, role. So he was the main character on the show, and had Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby. And I think there was some little kid who helped them also, a new character that they created. And then Vincent Price's character. It was their job to find 13 of the worst ghosts of all time that had been trapped in a chest and had gotten out. I think Scrappy-Doo was involved with that also, and had gotten out. And so it was their job. And I think they were tasked with, because I think Scooby accidentally released all 13 ghosts. So they were tasked to catch all 13 of them. The series ended with the final episode capturing 12 of the 13. I guess low ratings, or the company just said, we don't need to tell what happens. Or we don't know how to end this show or whatever. So they just stopped doing the show. Well, now finally, many, many years later, there will be a movie, animated film, that will be wrapping up the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo storyline. Finally. Which means they're going to have to release the original series on DVD and you can watch it again. It was actually it was a really good Scooby-Doo cartoon where the ghosts were real. Whereas, spoiler alert, if you watch the early Scooby-Doo shows, there were no ghosts. It was always somebody. One of the characters that you were introduced to during the show turned out to be the bad guy. Usually the one you least expected. Oreo is starting to make their presence known. They have a coffee creamer now. They now have a drink mix. Oh, good. You love that show. Good. 13 Days of Scooby-Doo. Good. They now have a drink mix, which basically is just like saying, how Quick or Hershey's has their Hershey powder and syrup that you can make chocolate milk out of. Well, now Oreo has one similar that you can make an Oreo flavored drink every day. Powder, mix it up with your milk, and you got yourself flavor. So, go for it. Why not? At my work, somebody has a packet of Oreo hot chocolate mix that they're just sort of sitting there. And every day I look at it, like, I want to try that, but it's someone else's and I don't want to steal it. So I'm not going to be that guy. But it's taunting me right now. So there's that. I'm moving right along. I'm almost about the 2-hour mark. Let's see. I'm going to save the best 2 stories of the night for near the end. Jason Derulo, I talked about this earlier. There's going to be a film version of the musical Cats coming out next year at this time in December. Idris Elba's in it, and some other musicians, and they've got some other big time people. It is going to be a musical version. Well, Jason Derulo has joined the cast of Cats. I'm actually intrigued to see it. I saw Cats on the boards, not on Broadway, because I've never seen anything on Broadway, but we have local Broadway shows come to the Hippodrome and stuff like that. I've seen Cats before. I enjoyed it, so I think I'll enjoy the movie. Black Panther was named one of the best films of the year by the National Board of Review. That's right. Award season is starting to get moving a little bit more. It's going to start picking up really, really quickly, really soon, leading to the Academy Awards, I think, in either late February or early March. So we'll be able to see what is going to be winning stuff. And this year, the talk is, what about Black Panther, or all these other hugely popular films that don't get any love because they're popular films? Black Panther might be the one. National Board of Review named it one of the best pictures of the year. There was another review board that also declared it a good movie, or won a Saturn Award for best film or something like that. So there's a little mini storm brewing for that. So keep your eyes on the Black Panther. That might pop up as an Academy Award nominee. Which would be excellent. I should have mentioned this when I was talking Netflix. Thank you, Patrick. Thanks for watching. Patrick's going off to bed. It's 11:30. I'm almost done. Catch the last tail end here, Patrick, tomorrow or whenever. I'm going to get into some really good stories, and then I'll let you go. Have a good night. Thank you for watching. Netflix is creating its own cinematic universe, but it's going to be animated, and they're going to be doing animated movies of Roald Dahl books. Willy Wonka, Matilda, The Witches, BFG, any of these Roald Dahl books. They're going to make movies, and they're going to connect them in a cinematic thing. So might be interesting to check out, see what they do with that kind of thing. So we'll see. One of my favorite movies of the 90s is Gattaca. Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. And Jude Law's in that too. Um, it's about it takes place in the future, in the near future, where society has developed a way to create the perfect person. You can have a designer baby. You give your sperm, your wife gives her egg, and what they do is take it to a scientist, and what they'll do is they'll sit down with you and say, okay, what do you want in your child? And they will take the best parts of, you know, you and your wife and mix it up and then create the perfect baby for you. I don't know. I don't think they implant it naturally. I think they grow it in like a test tube and stuff like that. But it's still, you know, the mom and the dad together. So they still have those characteristics. But you can say, I want him to be tall. I want him to have brown hair. I want him to have blue eyes. I want him to, to do this and do that. And, everything is perfect, and you create the perfect person. The movie basically says that it follows this character. I forget who his name is, played by Ethan Hawke, who was one of the few that was born naturally. The mom and dad had sex. She got pregnant and was born vaginally with all the regular, no scientific experimentation on it. It's just that's who they are. He has bad eyesight and he's got like a heart problem. So for his brother, they wanted to do this genetic thing because, in the eyes of society, a natural born, or whatever they were called, is equivalent to disgusting dirt, poor crap, worth nothing, worth shit. Did I turn that off? I thought I kept that one on. Oh well, never mind. Maybe I turned it off. Well, the light switch is down. Oh well, sorry. But there's a group out there that, even though you are the perfect person, stuff can still happen to you and it might ruin your day. And that's what happens to Jude Law's character, who was a great swimmer, Olympic award winner, stuff like that, gold medal winner, stuff like that. He was perfect, but he got into a car accident because he got drunk and got in a car accident, and now he is paralyzed from the waist down. So that was done by, that wasn't done by science. He got into a car accident and paralyzed himself. So now what he does is he sells his for all intents and purposes, his body to one of these natural borns so that they can move up in society, because natural borns look like a lesser citizen. So what you want to do is, this perfect person played by Jude Law, draws a lot of blood out and draws urine and skin cells and hair and stuff like that, and gives it to Ethan Hawke's character. And they are, they make him look similar to this guy. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect because nobody really looks at it anymore. You put your finger in to whatever job you have, it takes a blood sample and it'll say, yes, he's perfect, go inside. And so they barely look at it, like, okay, you're good, go inside. They just go in there. So that's what they do. So he's able to work his way, Ethan Hawke's able to work his way into a place where he wants to get into outer space and go visit Titan, the moon of Saturn. But then a murder happens, and somehow his real DNA gets onto the dead body, and so he is wanted, but nobody knows it's him. But it's a little bit more complicated. It's a really good movie. But my point is that this week a Chinese researcher has claimed the first gene-edited baby. He created the first gene-edited baby, which basically meant that Gattaca's coming. That this Chinese scientist researcher allegedly created a baby of just the best things in life. Genetically was able to fix it so that the baby would not be blind or have any health defects, or would be the perfect person. When you mess around with the gene splicing and therapy and stuff like that. So that's something to keep an eye on. It's been realistic enough that there have been some inquiries about it, and that there might be a bigger story developing, because this was supposedly done without permission. So to be continued. I'll keep an eye out, see if I see any more about this story. But it fascinates me because I love Gattaca, and talking about now, I want to go watch Gattaca again now because I love that movie. If you haven't seen Gattaca, since Scott, you're the only one watching right now, but for anyone out there who watches, not live like Scott and Patrick did, but watch it on tape, check out Gattaca. It's absolutely worth it. It's a great movie. It's written, directed by Andrew Niccol, who wrote The Truman Show, which is a great film as well. But this is just an awesome film. Great cast in it. I feel like I'm missing a few other people. There are some other actors in it that are pretty big, but they're in it as well. So there's that. So finally, we come down to the two best stories of the week, I guess you could say. Do y'all remember the iconic Billy the Big Mouth Bass? It was a big Christmas present a few years back, which was a fake fish. Yes, you should see it. You should totally rewatch it again, Scott. Hey, show it to Luke. He might not have seen it. I think he'd like it too. It's science fiction, but not like crazy futuristic science. It's like something's like, that could be like in the next 15 years, or more recently, if this baby thing is true. Billy the Big Mouth Bass was one of those it's a plastic fish that's mounted on a wood thing. Some people catch fish and mount their fish up on the wall. Don't eat them. They just mount them if it's a big one. Well, this was a big present a few years back where you put it up on your wall, and it was like if you walk past it, it would go off and it would start singing or talking and moving. So it would sing songs, say, "Hey, how's it going?" and all this stuff. And look at me, I'm a fish, stuff like that. Well, Billy the Big Mouth Bass making a comeback now, and he's got a 21st century update to him. He now comes equipped with Alexa. And basically, Billy the Big Mouth Bass can become your Alexa. It's got Alexa, everything in it, but it's in the form of Billy the Big Mouth Bass. But it can do everything that Alexa does. It could turn off your lights. It could order you stuff online. It could play songs from you. It could lip sync music. It can give you directions, whatever you need. It will do it in the whole Billy the Big Mouth Bass way that it is. Yes, Scott says, my grandpa had one of those. It was so annoying. Well, it's going to be even more annoying with Alexa being a part of it. So now, if you want a Alexa, built into a Billy the Big Mouth Bass, now is your time. It's the holiday season. Check it out. It's probably at Bass Pro Shops, probably, which I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but the truth, it probably is. Finally, this is the best headline I think I've ever read. And it might change down the line, but this is just a great headline. And I'm just going to read it without any comment. And then we'll get into the anniversaries and then the holidays, and I'll get out of here. It'll be about a 2-hour, 15-minute episode. Here we go. Blind bisexual goose named Thomas, who spent 6 years in a love triangle with 2 swans and helped raise 68 babies, dies at the ripe old age of 40. Said without comment. Best headline of the year. Anniversaries. Well, we're getting close to Christmas time, so we're going to get lots of Christmas and other stuff as well. Plus, also, Thanksgiving is usually around this time also, so you're going to get some big time movies coming out around this time. So 1989, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, a Christmas classic, came out. So came out this week in 1989. Misery, the great Rob Reiner, Stephen King adaptation, came out 28 years ago. Beavis and Butthead ended their TV series after 7 seasons in 1997 this week. 1984, Voltron premiered, one of my wife's favorite shows, and hell, one of my favorite shows also. Pong, the video game, was released in arcades 46 years ago this week. 27 years ago, My Girl, starring Dan Aykroyd, or reteaming Dan Aykroyd with Jamie Lee Curtis, and had a Macaulay Culkin, fresh off of Home Alone, in it as well. Premiered this week. Santa Claus the Movie with Dudley Moore premiered in 1985. I think Lithgow's in that also, if I remember correctly. 33 years ago, Rocky IV came out. Creed II, paid homage to Rocky IV. So, Rocky IV came out this week, a week after Creed II came out. So why not? In 1986, Star Trek IV was released, considered to be one of the best Star Trek movies of all time. That's the time travel to 1986 where they get the whales. It's one of the funniest movies you've ever seen, but it's a fun adventure as well. Flubber, starring Robin Williams, premiered in 1997. 15 years ago this week, Bad Santa premiered. 20 years ago this week, the second Pixar movie that everyone seems to overlook, A Bug's Life, came out this week. 1992, The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston, Kevin Costner. Dawn and I saw the musical version of it. It's fantastic. 24 years ago, Aladdin came out in movie theaters. Or is it 26 years ago? Either 26 or 24. I can't tell by my handwriting. 31 years ago, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with Steve Martin, John Candy, and a cameo by Kevin Bacon showed up. It's a Thanksgiving movie. Came out this week. And finally, in 1940, the first ever appearance of Woody Woodpecker came out this week as well. That's it for anniversaries this week. And finally, holidays. Every day is a holiday. Check out Check I Day on Twitter or on the website, and it'll give you every holiday or what holiday is on every day. The first of the month usually has a lot of good stuff. So December 1st is Bifocals at the Monitor Liberation Day, Civil Air Patrol Day, Coats and Toys for Kids Day, Day Without Art, Earmuff Day, Eat a Red Apple Day, Global Fat Bike Day, National Christmas Lights Day, National Pie Day, National Rhubarb Vodka Day. Oh my God, that sounds disgusting. Rosa Parks Day, Skywarn Recognition Day, Wear a Dress Day, World AIDS Day is today as well. Yesterday, November 30th, was Cities for Life Day, Computer Security Day, International Sweater Festival, or Vestival, I should say, National Mason Jar Day, National Methamphetamine Awareness Day, and the cotton candy meth story came out around this time. National Moose Day, National Stay at Home Because You're Well Day was November 30th. Perpetual Youth Day, November 30th. November 29th, Customer is Wrong Day, Electronic Greeting Card Day, International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people, National Chocolate Day, which has a few days in there, but November 29th is also National Chocolate Day, National Lemon Cream Pie Day, National Square Dance Day, Throw Out Your Leftovers Day, November 29th. And then tomorrow, December 2nd, we have Special Education Day, Safety Razor Day, Play Basketball Day, National Mutt Day, National Fritters Day, International Day for the Abolition of Slavery, Business of Popping Corn Day, and Advent Sunday. So Advent starts tomorrow for the Catholics. Open your Advent calendars and go crazy. So that's it for this week's episode of Dylan Knows. Next week is going to be a little off. I don't know exactly when I might do it. Probably will end up doing it probably on Sunday. In 2 weeks. I'm sorry. Next week will probably be normal. Yeah, next week is the 8th, 9th, December 8th and 9th. Shouldn't be an issue. December 15th, 16th. The 15th is my daughter's birthday party. She's going to have a sleepover, so I don't think I'll be able to do it Saturday the 15th. It might be Sunday morning the 16th after they've all gone home. So we'll see what's up about that. So next week, regular time. We're in December now. Not that long away. Get your Christmas shopping done, holiday shopping done, whatever. Go out there, listen to some great Christmas music, have fun, look at lights, decorate. I'm going to decorate tomorrow, hopefully. Get my my energy up in my level to do that. So check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. Scott and Patrick particularly, and everybody else who watches. See you later. Bye. Stay tuned for a brand new episode of the Comic Hall next.